it's interesting because Canelo, although he's technically younger than Jermell in age, I think he's actually the older fighter. And I say that because he turned pro at like 15 years old or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And he never took a break. If you look at the history of boxing, like the big stars, like from Mayweather, De La Hoya's, even Pacquiao, I think took a little break.
Ray
Um,
Leonard.
Ray Leonard. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm going so with the
yeah.
last 20 years or so.
Okay.
You look at a guy like Andre Ward who sat out because of injury and
Mm.
business. He didn't have a promoter or was going through a promotional situation. So he sat out. Canelo is one of the few guys that never sat out. He fought all the way through. And I think after a certain period of time, father time seeps in. Um, but to answer your question, Jermell, I think he's the average modern day fighter. Most of these guys, they fight once a year. This is the new norm. Once, twice. You're lucky if you get these guys to fight twice a year. He had an injury. He was supposed to fight, back in January. He was Tim Tszú's son. I mean, Costa Tszú's son, Tim Tszú. He injured his hand, and I think they were supposed to fight once before. Before that, I think the fight got canceled twice. But here we are. With the fight will be in September. I believe this will be the first fight since the second Castaño fight.
Yeah,
If I'm
yeah,
not
May,
mistaken.
since May of last year.
Since May, since
Yeah.
May. So technically, he's on schedule. Traditionally, um, this is a weird, interesting fight. From a lot of respects because they're both two former junior middleweights, as you know, Canelo. Canelo actually, I
Yeah.
think at one time fought at welterweight, but he's primarily was known
Mm.
for a 154 pounder. Jermell fought there his whole career. Jermell is technically the bigger guy. Like I said, Canelo probably got more wear and tear on his body, but yet he's a super middleweight.
Mm.
So you look at some of the names that Canelo fought at super middleweight. Um, the biggest one is probably Caleb Plant. Outside of that, it was more of like your fringe contending type guys. I know you fought Billy Joe Saunders, but I can't remember if that was at 160 or 168. You can help me there.
Yeah, no, because I'm sure that was 168 as well, wasn't it? I'm sure it
Might
was.
have been 160 because
Mm.
even Billy Joe's not a big guy like that.
Mm.
So with the exception of Caleb Plant and Bivol, which we fought at light heavyweight, those are the two biggest names he fought north of 54, like guys that really pose an imminent threat. So, you look at Canelo's career, um, Arslan Lar, Austin Trout. I'm just giving you names of guys that gave him some trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously Triple G gave him trouble, but I mean more of your slick technical like guys that move. Like I feel
Mm.
like Canelo has success with guys that come straight to him. Guys that he can just walk down on a straight line. But guys that was able to give him some movement gave him problems.
Yeah.
So but there's weight classes for a reason.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
Jermell, he will be the smaller guy, um, technically, but I don't know if you saw the press. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is weird. Like, I never really saw nothing like this where one guy is the bigger guy, boxing weight wise, but in civilian wise, Jermell looks like a giant next to him.
Yeah, he's 5'11" as well, isn't he? 5'11" or 6 foot compared to
Yeah, he's
Canelo's
definitely
five seven,
clean
five
six
eight.
foot, easy. Yeah, I saw his brother in Vegas, Jermell. Jamal, I think Jamal might be a smidge, even though they're identical twins. I think he might be a smidge, you know, taller, but
Mm.
definitely big, imposing guys. Both of
Yeah.
them.
So with the weight difference, taking, I mean, it's one thing being bigger in civilian clothes, but there's another thing getting in a ring and taking punches
Right.
over the course of a fight from a heavier guy. I'm sure he's done it in sparring before, but 10-ounce gloves. You've got someone like Canelo beating down on you over the course of a fight. That accumulation of punches, the punch resistance, how's it going to be? Charlo's punches may not have as much effect on someone like Canelo, who's 168 pounds and has a great chin. So in that sense, do you think the duration of the fight, the accumulation of punches, is that eventually going to wear down on Charlo and maybe be his demise if it sort of adds up?
Traditionally speaking, you're absolutely right. And that's why I said that's my one apprehension is that walk around weight, civilian, bigger and bigger is much different than training. And like you brought up a key word, resistance. Like your body is going to resist that type of pain and punishment from a bigger guy. And I always tell people this, and you know this, if everybody could fight at their walk around weight, everybody would do it. Like, who's struggling to make weight? Like, it makes no sense. Like, if I'm 160, let's say if I'm 170 pounds, I'm either going to fight at super middleweight or middleweight. But if I'm a guy that's fighting at junior middleweight, where do you think I'm gonna go? So walk around weight is not the same as, to your point, as fight weight. So my big question is, how will he do? Because both guys are going to get hit in this fight. Canelo's going to get hit, and Jermell's going to get hit. The question remains, I guess we'll find out fight night, is, how will his body be able to retain, that type of power from a technically bigger guy? Like, can he hold up? Canelo is a real good counterpuncher. Jermell, has laws in fights. He has periods where he's not as active. So I think that Jermell has good movement. He showed he can box off the back foot. He did it against Castaño. He has a underrated jab, like an exceptional footwork that I think is going to give Canelo some problems. He may be able to run him into a few things, but how long can you keep him off of you?
Yeah.
I think at some point, if you look at the history of boxing, whenever fighters fight guys like Canelo, you have to be able to walk them backwards at some point of the fight. You saw it with Spence and Crawford. The boxer got to be able to push the bruising, brawling type guy. You got to be able to push them backwards at some point. I don't think you could just fight a fight for 12 rounds for 36 minutes off the back foot. I just don't think that's possible.
And Canelo, when we talk about punch resistance, Canelo throws punches with bad intentions. He tries to hurt you with pretty much every punch he throws. He's not someone who touch, he'll go straight for you. And I think that accumulation.
Yeah, he chopping the tree. He constantly break you. You saw when he fought when he fought Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant boxed beautifully in that fight, but he was touching him in between shots, and the accumulation of punches, like you said, starts to take its toll. And Plant is a natural super middleweight, tall guy. I will say that Jermell might be more of a physical guy, but again, the weight class is the weight class. Plant is a natural super middleweight who Canelo was able to chop down late in the fight, according with some over the top. But the body work, because everybody always look at the headshot, but everybody forget like the investments that are made early on in the fight to the body.
Because Canelo will be targeting that body, those hips, to slow Charlo down. So
I think it's going to be a good fight, though. I really do. I think it's going to be more entertaining. I don't think nobody's getting stopped in this fight. I think that it is going to go to the car. I think Charlo, it's both brothers. I think they're well conditioned. They're in great shape. Maybe he'll be a little bit even more fluid in this fight, that he didn't have to cut weight. So, so we'll see.
We all know about Canelo's chin, but Charlo as well. He's called the Iron Man. I think it'll go the distance as well.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about Canelo having being the younger fighter, having more miles. He's had almost 70 fights. His last fight against Ryder, was it? He didn't look, understandably. He had such a high peak for so long. He's going to start declining sooner or later. Do you think now is timing? People say timing. Is this the right time for Charlo to fight Canelo?
Well, 15 years ago, 2 months forward, I should say. That was this August, and 3 months past September would have been December. Manny Pacquiao beat Oscar De La Hoya. You know, his former mentor slash, boss. Kind of same scenario. Older fighter. Now, although, if I'm not mistaken, De La Hoya had to come down and wait in that fight. But still, it was still Pacquiao was a former flyweight, moving all the way up to welterweight. Now, he gradually did it, but still, he came from 135, jumped 2 weight classes, and we know what happened there. So, you can have a scenario like that. You just never know in boxing how this stuff is going to play out, but because guys do get old. Canelo could get old in this fight. That's father, because I thought in the Ryder fight, twofold. I think that he knew who his opponent was. I think he played with his food a little bit. And I just think that he fought more of a stationary fight, where in this fight, I think he'll be a lot more motivated, a lot more driven. And I don't think he fights the same style that he fought against Ryder. But at the same time, if your legs, the thing about movement and old legs, one of the two is going to take, the faster legs is going to take advantage of the older legs if the older legs, give out on you at any given point. So your leg movement is everything in this sport. So if you're an older guy and your mind is going one way, but the rest of your body is going another way, bad things can happen for you. So, you got to fact, you can't rule out that Canelo don't have a lot of wear and tear on him. He does. That's one thing that we cannot just, exclude here.
Yeah, it's going to be a very good fight.